Okay, so we're almost done today, but we're gonna real quick do some of. I'm gonna share some of my humble opinion. So that's what we're gonna do. Got a lot of albums. I mean, all these are albums that we're gonna talk about. And again, I'm behind with some of these releases because um, I'm behind. So I'm catching up. But I feel like I'm finally catching up now. So, firstly, this was released around Easter time, but Meadows finally released their full album, Familiar with Pain. And so, talked about Meadows when they released the EP, shorter version of this album. Meadows, there's some really great guys. They were in my What is Audio Feed documentary, and they make great music, great heavy metal music. And with this album, it's really great. I gotta say that. So first of all, the album starts off really strongly with the first track, with some clean vocals, clean layered vocals, and very worshipful as well. Which, by the way, the concept for this album is that it's supposed to be written about Jesus' last hours before his crucifixion. But the Innocence of Silence is an awesome opening track. The following track, Fury for the Taking, is just a bop. Some really strong tracks on here that really bend the genre of heavy metal. They try some different stuff on here. I will say, first listen, I got a little, and this is just me. This has nothing to do with the album, but like I felt like I was getting a little bored near the middle. But then I re-listened to it again, and I appreciated it so much more. It's very heavy hitting, and it's got a great blend of heavy hitting tracks along with some, creative liberties that they take with some of the tracks, especially like the opener. And, they got the closer, My God is Strong, which was hardly even a metal song. It's more of like a soulful worship song featuring Hayden Creel on vocals. And I don't know, it's just, it's really good. And I've been really enjoying jamming along to it. Other great tracks are, of course, the lead single, Barabbas, Silence of Innocence, What is Truth, Heavy Eyes. Some really great stuff. So if you guys just want a new hardcore band to get into, definitely check out Meadows' Familiar with Pain. It's good stuff, and also just some really good spiritual, theological lyrics. It's really good. So, Familiar with Pain by Meadows. Next up, we've got Erase by the Rocky Valentines. Now, I've talked about the Rocky Valentines before with some previous EPs and singles, but now they finally have the full-length album out, Erase. Rocky Valentines is the brainchild of Charles Martin, son of Jason Martin from Starflyer 59 and nephew of Ronnie Martin from Joy Electric. So big musical family. And what we have here is an excellent shoegaze indie rock album. I think that's how you would classify it, with lyrics written from the perspective of a 20-year-old. At least that's what I gathered from his lyrics. I believe he's 20. He's at least in his early 20s. In these songs, Charles savors his young years while dealing with the struggles of growing up. They're all really fun songs with great mixing as well. Charles records all the guitars, drums, and vocals. He just had another guy play bass. And I think Jason Martin, his dad, helped produce it. And I imagine it's going to be the perfect summer album. I can't wait to see Charles expand his style and grow from where he's at. But this is a really solid start. Just some good old indie rock shoegaze jams. So go check out for sure Erase by the Rocky Valentines. Next up, we have maybe something that's might be a bit of a controversial pick, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyways because I don't know if many other like Christian reviewers would talk about this artist. But I have before, and you guys should know him because he had a hit single that took the country by a storm. It's Oliver Anthony and his new album, Hymnal of a Troubled Man's Mind. And I decided I wanted to talk about it because, hey, he professes to be a Christian, and, you know, he may be new and he may not be perfect. I mean, who is? But it seems like he's really trying to grow in his faith and who he is. And so if you guys don't know, if you guys were living under a rock last year, but Oliver Anthony, he released that song, Richmond, North of Richmond. And yeah, it was quite the bit of controversy and debate and just kind of put him in this new spotlight that he didn't expect. I know he didn't because he talked about it in interviews and such. But he has finally released a whole album. And I wanted to talk about it because, yes, he professes to be a Christian, and there is a lot of Christian elements to this album, because this album is exactly as it advertises itself in the title. It is a hymnal from the mind of a troubled man. Now, not necessarily Oliver Anthony, but we'll get into that. But I forgot. Oliver Anthony is not even his real name. I don't remember what his real name is, but Oliver Anthony is a complete stage name. But the genius of this album is that you have tracks littered throughout the album of Oliver Anthony reading scripture with no commentary or music, just straight up reading scripture. I mean, you can hear like birds singing in the background and such, but that's basically all it is. And then it just goes into the next song. And then to juxtapose those tracks of him reading the scriptures, we have songs about alcoholism, depression, financial trouble, and politics. It just seems intentional, you know? Many of these songs seem to be written from the perspective of a character who is bogged down by all of those issues, you know, the alcoholism and depression and such, and is struggling to find purpose in life, while the scriptures that Oliver is reading are providing the answer, basically. So it's a genius album that has excellent production, rather than being treated with the usual solo guitar and voice we're used to from Oliver Anthony, you know, because he had mostly those live recordings of his songs. We get a full band production, but I love the way it's all arranged and mixed, because it still feels like what we're used to from Oliver Anthony, because the extra instrumentation is very minimal. It doesn't go overboard. I mean, you'll have like a violin or a cello, and you'll have some drums and maybe some electric guitar and bass, but it doesn't become like too much. And I also just love the way it's mixed. It kind of sounds like that he's recording it in like some big warehouse or something, you know, just like that room reverb that just sounds great. But I love this album. It's got some really catchy songs with some hard-hitting lyrics. I mean, it's the same guy who wrote Richmond, North of Richmond, but I also appreciate how a lot of these songs tell more of a story of a character rather than Oliver Anthony just complaining about the country. which I don't mind that either, of course, but it just paints a picture of someone who is trying to live in God's grace, but is struggling. And I find it very relatable and human-like, So I think it's a perfect title to the album, Hymnal of a Troubled Man's Mind. So I would recommend it, but I also want to preface this, and this is probably another reason why this would be a controversial pick, but there's some minimal language in there. So if you're offended by that, don't listen to it. Don't listen to it around your kids or anything. There's a little bit, and it's not even enough for any of these songs to be flagged by Spotify to be explicit, but for a Christian, they are, a little, some of them, not even all of them. It's not even like throughout the whole album or anything, but I think it kind of fits for me, who's not offended by language. For me, it adds a little bit of color to it, and it makes sense to whatever character Oliver Anthony is trying to portray, because of course they would talk like that, So yeah, that's me defending myself right there. Hopefully people don't have too much of a problem with me talking about it, but yeah, I personally would recommend Hymnal. Sorry, I'm going through puberty today for some reason, but Hymnal of a Troubled Man's Mind by Oliver Anthony.
When that sun comes back around, I'll be wishing I was sober.
And last but not least, we finally have a new album from Make Sure, and that album is called June, which is coming up pretty soon, and that's my birthday month. But yeah, we've got the new full length from Make Sure, band from, well, it's one guy. It's Joshua Aubrey Jackson, but Make Sure is his band / stage name. New to Tooth and Nail, but he has released quite a few albums before, which I actually still have to listen to fully. But I'm really enjoying June. It's a complete vibe. I love it so much. It's just the perfect like indie rock sound that has nice roomy production on the drums and some really great guitar effects. It's just it's the perfect kind of sound that you just play in your car with the windows rolled down and just kind of driving through town. It's got that vibe to it. And and he's got songs that are about relationships and dealing with those, but also with his relationship with God. And really beautiful stuff. Like I said, it's a complete vibe. I would say go check it out for sure. It's one of my favorites so far. Go check out June by Make Sure.
I love you in every
And that's about all that we got for today.
Well, hello there. Thanks so much for watching this video. It means a lot. Not sure if you noticed, but this is actually a clip from a longer full-length episode that you can go check out right now on my main channel. I'm Clifford today, because this channel is just a clips and highlights channel. Because if you're not a real YouTuber unless you have multiple channels. So, anyways, go like and subscribe and all that stuff. I love you.